Greetings, everyone. This is Dr. J, sitting in again as your co-host on Divine Power Kingdom Ministries. Today's topic is entitled, How the Second Coming Will Take Place. This is the 6th episode from the second series of Proof that the Bible is Authentic. I'm in the studio again today with our host, author, entrepreneur, martial artist, and musical artist, Mr. Mandinko D. Greetings to you, Mr. D.
Greetings to you too, Dr. J, and greetings to everyone listening. Thank you once again for tuning in. For additional information and clarity on this topic as usual, see chapters 9 and 11 of our book, Who God Really Is. If you do not have a copy, you may purchase one by contacting us on WhatsApp or by visiting our website, which are both displayed at the foot of this display page. All books are also available on Amazon.
Okay, can you tell us what you would like to cover with today's episode?
Well, in our last episode, which was entitled The Three Angels' Messages, it was clarified that those three angels' messages were the final warnings to us on planet Earth, just prior to the second coming of Christ, and at the end of the world as we know it. Remember that the first angel's message listed in Revelation 14:6 and 7 influences chosen ones to preach the everlasting gospel of the kingdom that the disciples were commissioned to preach in Mark chapter 16 verses 15 and 16. Baptizing in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, as per Matthew 28:19 to all the world. It also reminded us to honor God as Earth's creator by observing his Sabbath. The second angel declared the fall of Babylon, whereas the third angel warned that Babylon will inflict conditions on God's citizens that we are not to compromise with, or we will be punished along with her.
So can you give us more clarification on who the three angels are and how they give their messages to us?
We have to remember that it is us humans who are in charge of planet Earth. It is we who have dominion. For this reason, God always works through humans to execute his will on earth. So whilst the three angels' message will literally be sent to convey the different messages to mankind, they will work through human beings who were chosen to convey the messages. I must admit though that the first angel's message seemed to be more a direct message than the other two.
In which way do you mean that?
Because the first angel came to impart the message of the gospel of the kingdom to humans. So he had to inspire it to chosen ones to teach to the masses of people. The message of the second angel's message was a declaration of Babylon falling, whereas the third angel's message was an admonishment not to comply with the demands that Babylon's leader will put on us. Although others were aware of it, I believe that Dr. Miles Monroe was the first to launch the correct first angel's message.
Okay, I see your point on that.
The second angel's message of Babylon falling is the result of the fact that the first angel's message was spread and received. This is what is referred to as the outpouring of the latter rain.
Can you explain us what exactly is the outpouring of the latter rain?
The outpouring of the latter rain is a phrase used to explain God's final and powerful effort to ensure that innocent people understand the true meaning of the gospel of the kingdom that Matthew 13:4 and 19 are revealing and is being kept hidden from us by the evil one, using the fowls or religion to conceal it from the world in the final years of this world's existence, just prior to Christ's return, which is now.
So then you are saying that this movement has already begun?
Oh, yes, it has. My church, for example, has only the part of worshiping the Creator correct. They don't yet understand the gospel of the everlasting kingdom. Most churches assume that the kingdom that is being referred to is when Christ returned and the kingdom from heaven to earth, whilst it was a kingdom that came after Christ died and resurrected.
Okay, that's clear. So what should we expect to happen next?
Well, the true gospel is now being spread, and people are slowly deviating from religion. Since Babylon is the religious power that rules the world, while simultaneously the head of the secret society of Babylon, she will lose power as people give up religion for the kingdom. This is why the second angel's message states that Babylon will fall in Revelation 14:8. The latter part of verse 8 states, "It's because she made nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication," meaning the majority of the world who were deceived by her will come to the realization and will cease to be manipulated by her.
Can you explain more clearly to us exactly how Babylon is manipulating the world?
Via religion, of course. Since Babylon was the religious horn that grew bigger and rooted out 3 of the 10 horns that represents nations in Daniel 7:8. That same horn that is riding or controlling the beast in Revelation 17:1-5 is Babylon. Babylon controls religion by controlling the leaders of the various religions or denominations.
So then how does Babylon control the world if she only controls religion?
Because she does not only control religion, she also controls the secret society members of Babylon, which are incorporated into the religious denominations of the world. The leader of Babylon's religious system is also the leader of the secret society of Babylon. So when the religious aspect falls, when Babylon falls, but she will capitalize on her authority that she has over the secret society of Babylon to maintain control. The highest ranking secret society members of Babylon are in the high positions of nations. But to summarize what happens next, as per your first question, what happens next is the increase of tribulation by way of famine and scarcity. As per my personal expectations, I foresee this to continue happening until around 2028, after which we may have a break from 2029 up until 2031, as was mentioned in our previous interview.
Yes, I recall. I also recall you sharing your opinion of the last tribulation enduring from 2032 through 2033. Now, getting to our topic, how does this tie into the second coming?
Well, the first angel brings back the everlasting gospel of the kingdom and enlightens many about the true gospel and the need to observe the Creator's day to pay tribute to Him as Earth's Creator. Many will wake up and see where the religions were misguiding them and leave, causing the general religious system of the world to collapse. Therefore, as per the second angel's message, the head of Babylon will lose his authority by way of lack of control over the masses by way of religion, which is why Babylon will fall. So the second coming takes place right after the third angel's message, when the head of Babylon unleashes the ecumenical movement with the mark of the beast, forcing sun observance by observing the day of the sun as family day, while simultaneously prohibiting Sabbath keeping, which is also the mark, sign, or signature of God as Earth's Creator.
But before we go any further, can you explain more explicitly what the mark of the beast and the mark of God is?
Very appropriate timing here, Dr. J. We truly cannot go any further unless that is clarified indeed. For everything that God does, the wicked one creates a substitute or an imitation. God declared that he will set up one world government when he returns. The wicked one establishes one world government of one world order via Babylon. Yeshua sets up a secret society amongst the Jewish religion called the Kingdom or Nation of God in Matthew 16, 18, and 19. The wicked one sets up his secret society within the religions of the world. Now, a mark can also be referred to as a sign or signature. As per Ezekiel 20:12, God explains that the Sabbath is a sign between God and his people. As a matter of fact, Exodus 31 verses 16 explains that Sabbath keeping is a perpetual covenant between God and his people. Perpetual literally means everlasting, without an end. So this means that that covenant will never end. Verse 17 of Exodus 31 also explains that Sabbath keeping is a sign or signature of God and his people because it acknowledges him as creator. If we look up the word sign in a dictionary or on Google, it will tell you that it also means a mark.
Yes, so when we put our signature on a document, we are stated that it's ours.
Exactly. The word signature comes from the word sign. As a matter of fact, when we tell someone to sign here, it can mean to place their signature here. So God's Sabbath is his signature, to claim earth as his territory, as well as God to us humans. He has created his mark that earth ultimately belongs to him by way of the Sabbath. Mark is a part of the word remark, which is a statement, reminder. Dictionaries say it's a statement or an observation.
Wow. So you are saying that the mark of the beast is the territorial mark of the wicked one, claiming ownership of the earth with his signature by way of Babylon.
Bingo. So since the secret society's main god is the sun, which is highlighted at the top of the Christians and secret society members' Christmas trees, they are subtly getting everyone to pay tribute to their sun god. Hence the reason why 44,500 of the 45,000 of Christian denominations keep their main service on the day of the sun, Sunday. This is also the reason why the majority of businesses are closed on Sundays and not Saturdays. And if they do open, they close earlier. Society leans more to observing the day of the sun as a day of rest. So the mark of God is his Sabbath day, which is the seventh day, whereas the mark of the beast is the first day of the week, because it ultimately pays tribute to the sun, which is the supreme god of Babylon. We often see a window, the color and the shape of the sun, and especially the mother church. We also see the sun disguised as a halo behind the head of saints, behind the head of Mary, behind the head of Joseph, and even behind the head of baby Yeshua and adult Yeshua in pictures. It is even drawn with clouds sometimes to confirm that it's the sun and not a halo.
So if you said that beast in the Bible represents nations, and the last nation to rule the world, which was Rome, has collapsed into 10 nations that now rule the world, who is this beast that has a mark with the number 666?
Well, as per Daniel 7:3-6, the four beasts that arose from the waters that were representing nations were a lion with wings, which represented Babylon, a bear, which represented Media Persia, a leopard with four wings, which represented Greece, and then came the terrible beast, which had features of the first three beasts, because it was the compilation of them all when Rome, took over, then divided into the 10 toes. This is found in verse 7. Now, as per Revelation 13:2, it had the body of a leopard, which was Greece, the feet of a bear, which was Media Persia, and then the mouth of a lion, which depicts Babylon. Notice that as per verse 1 of Revelation 13, the beast had 10 horns with 10 crowns. Then as per verse 12, it confirmed that the 10 horns are 10 kings. Now, in Revelation 17:3, the woman who is called Babylon in verse 5 of Revelation 17 is riding the beast. Because she is riding the beast, she's considered to be controlling the beast. This is depicted in Revelation 17:2, where it says that the same 10 kings whom the 10 horns represent are in a relationship with her. Now, if she is riding the beast, it means that she's controlling the beast. She's controlling the 10 nations that rule the world. Now, remember that the woman Babylon is the religious power that grew bigger than the kings. Remember, she was the little horn that grew bigger and more powerful than the other horns, as per Daniel 7:8 and Daniel 8:9. As per the latter part of Daniel 7:8, there is a man at the head of this religious power. Because this man is at the head of the religious power, which is called Babylon, as per verse chapter 17, 3-5 of, I think that's Revelation, he is referred to as the beast, because he controls the beast. So for this reason, this man can be identified as the beast with the numerical value of a man, that is 666, as per Revelation 13:18 and Daniel 7:25.
Okay, so you're saying that Babylon is a religious body that has political power of the nations of the world, and also as a religion, she's referred to as a woman. There is a male in authority over her. I see that clearly in your text of Daniel 7, verse 25, indeed.
Exactly. But remember that the dragon is who gave him his power, as per Revelation 13:4.
Now, who's the dragon? Is that another nation or another beast?
As per Revelation 12, verses 9, the dragon, also known as a serpent, is the wicked one himself. He is ultimately behind everything and is the ultimate leader of the entire operation of the kingdom or system of Babylon.
Okay, can you continue to explain that some more?
Sure. The beast is also referred to as the person who is the head of Babylon, the religious and political power that controls the kings of the world and therefore controls the world, which is why the woman Babylon is riding the beast.
So how does the world end? What will transpire?
What happens is that when the first angel's message is spread about the kingdom and honoring God with his Sabbath, who created everything, people will boycott sun-worshipping religions. As the result of that, Babylon's system will fall, as the second angel's message will declare. The third angel cautions us in Revelation 14:9 and 10 that if any man worships the image of the beast or the beast, that he'll pretty much be destroyed by God along with the nations at his return.
Can you explain who who or what is the image of the beast?
Sure. To understand who or what the image of the beast is, it is imperative we pay attention to the meaning of image. An image of someone is a representation or representative of someone. We can say that our governor is the image or representative of our king, Alexander, in our country. The image of the beast, who is the man who is identified by the numerical value of 666, who calls the shots, does not live in other regions of the world. I think I'm saying this wrong. The beast itself, who is the man who is identified by the numerical value of 666, who calls the shot, is the one who does not live in other regions of the world. So as per Revelation 17:2, his representatives or images will have to be the kings of the world and the leaders of different countries of the earth who will be executing what he wants to the entire world, even through passing on orders to the colonies of the bigger nations. So the governments of the different nations who take orders from the beast, they are the image, or I can say the representatives of the beast, who execute what he gave order to execute.
What orders will the beast be passing on to his images that were not supposed to be followed?
If the mark or sign of God is the perpetual covenant of Sabbath keeping, as per Exodus 31 verses 16 and 17, then the mark of Babylon is Sunday keeping. So when the gospel of the kingdom is received and people are entering the kingdom and honoring the true creator, causing Babylon to fall, as per the second angel's message, Babylon will bounce back by enforcing sun worship by way of the ecumenical movement, whereby Family Day will be enforced. Simultaneously, Sabbath will be deemed a regular working day, for which we'll be breaking God's law to keep, we'll be breaking Babylon's law to keep Sabbath, if that's the case. Now, this happened before, when Constantine merged all religions under one universal banner to get control of the Sabbath keeping from the Jews whom they had conquered, by placing them under one religious banner, whereby they were forced into a new solemnity passed on to the vulnerable day of the sun.
This seems to refer back to when you spoke about the pilgrims migrating to England and the Americas for freedom of religion and freedom of speech.
Exactly. So, for the sake of world peace, to resolve world problems, we will be forced to become a part of the universal ecumenical movement, whereby the Mother Babylon will preside over all denominations of the 45,500 different denominations. The 500 plus denominations who are Sabbath keepers will be forced to comply. Now, as ridiculous as it sounds, the first phase of our tribulations was developing in the very same way. Between 2020 and 2022, many people could not keep certain jobs unless they complied with what was demanded. Many couldn't travel unless they complied. Others couldn't get allowances, we call it in Dutch stipend, to pay their employees unless they complied. Note how they use an apparently credible reason to apply these massive conditions. A seemingly credible reason will also be for them to enforce this universal decree over the entire world as well, for this third angel's message season that is soon to come.
Does the Bible give any clues as to what reason will be used for this final takeover that is scheduled to come?
As a matter of fact, it does. As per 1 Thessalonians 5, 1-6, it is revealing that the motive to trigger off the tribulation of the end times will be under the context of establishing one world denomination to collaborate with the one world government for the sake of bringing one world peace, which is an end to wars, which are already underway. For the sake of establishing world peace. Now, verse 6 goes on to tell us not to be asleep when we see these things happening.
Okay, can you elaborate as to how the last tribulation will affect us?
Well, Revelation 13, 16 to 18, I think that text is saying that people of no status, people of status, wealthy people, poor people, servants and slaves will all be forced to comply for convenience as per the mark in the hand is for, or they will be also be complying for the mark in the forehead, which is for conviction. God is saying that this is where his people will have to rebel from Babylon's system. It's saying that we are supposed to comply with the laws of man unless or until they go against the laws of God. Revelation 14, 9 and 10 is saying that if we comply with Babylon's demands, that we'll perish along with it upon his return.
How do you see this affecting the 500 plus Sabbath-keeping denominations?
Sadly, the leaders of many denominations, of many Sabbath-keeping denominations, some who even bear their Babylonian symbol of the 6 fire bands instead of 3, depicting the world as the all-seeing eye, will encourage its members to comply. Some will follow like sheep, others will hear God's voice and leave the folds that were secretly governed by Babylon from the top, and join God's fold and become of the same fold with one shepherd, God. Many leaders will compromise for the sake of convenience and for the need to be able to feed their families if they cannot buy or sell. Others will accept it in their foreheads by believing or convincing themselves to believe that they are doing the right thing. That simple.
At what point do you see the second coming taking place?
Well, we discussed that in the prior interview. We are now partially in the beginning stages of the second 3-year cycle that we spoke about in our last interview. Remember, we mentioned that the first cycle was 2020 to 2022, and the second cycle would be, we had a break, and then the last 3, etc. We are still in the process of the first angel's message. The next 3 years will complete the second phase of famine, after which Babylon will fall and the third and final tribulation will come. Christ will return during the third angel's message, when everything seems hopeless to survive without compliance. Just when they think they have the battle won, Yeshua, the King of Kings, will appear.
This is very, very interesting. I would like to know more on how this will take place.
As per Revelation 1:7 and 1 Thessalonians 4:16 and 17, Yeshua will return in a very public manner. Apparently, a trumpet will sound and the sky will roll back as a scroll. Mountains and islands will shift out of their places as per Revelation 6:14. Verse 15 goes on to say that all the guilty ones who compromise with the mark of the beast, the kings and great men of the world, the guilty rich people, guilty bosses of people, guilty powerful and prominent people, guilty laborers and the guilty self-employed people will all hide from the upset of the return of earth's one true King of Kings. As per Revelation 1:7, every single person will see him. As per Thessalonians, I think 1 Thessalonians 4:16, those who died righteously will rise from their graves first, whilst those who died in sin will remain in their graves. Then as per verse 17 of 1 Thessalonians 4, the righteous people who remain alive will be caught up together with the righteous people who rose from the dead into the clouds and taken up to heaven to spend 1,000 years, which is symbolized by the Sabbath day of the week's 1,000 years or millennium period.
What happens to the wicked people who will be alive when he comes?
As per 2 Thessalonians 2:8, the wicked living will be destroyed by the brightness of his glory upon his second coming, whilst all the righteous will go up in the clouds to heaven, where they'll spend 1,000 years before returning to earth to live.
What would happen to the wicked ones and his followers during the 1,000 years?
They will be trapped abound on earth with the dead bodies of the wicked until after the 1,000 years are over, as per Revelation 21-3. It is after the 1,000 years he will be released. I will continue with what happens during our 1,000 years in heaven, as well as what happens to the wicked one and his followers after the 1,000 years in our next episode. No matter how far-fetched this story sounds, everything else predicted happened exactly as predicted. As a matter of fact, Revelation 21:5 God confirms that we can afford to write, that John could afford to write this down because everything he said is true and will happen. Check out Revelation 21:5. It's confirmation that what is predicted will happen exactly as it said.
Amazing, really amazing. Well, there you have it, folks. Thank you for listening, and thank you for another powerful message, Mr. D. Remember to tune in to my radio program every Wednesday from 5:30 to 6 p.m. on 95.9 FM radio station, A Moment with Dr. J. Until such time.
Let go of his hand. Yet my people will only be set free. When I know Pharaoh's army in the deep Red Sea, let my people be. Let my people be. Oh, let my people be. Let my people be. Oh, let my people be. Let my people be. Oh, let my people be. Let my people be. Go down, and pray. Bring my people back to me. I see the water in the Red Sea, and set the captives free. Go down, set them free. Bring my people back to me. I see the water in the Red Sea, and set the captives free.